music sounded so good like this. Fabulous. Time to show, it's your time. You're nominated as the greatest, and your flow and blow minds. Radio done rated, some outdated. The friends you know, you won't find. True life stages, gotta count the pages. Rhythm of the groove and move.
Good day, and welcome to the Washington Report with Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett. I'm Stacey Plaskett, and I'm blessed to serve as the Virgin Islands delegate to the U.S. House of Representatives. The Washington Report was created to inform Virgin Islanders on current federal issues that directly affect our community. The show's guests range from political leaders to community activists. This show is all about getting information for you, to you. Therefore, I encourage you, email questions, ideas to askstacy@mail.house.gov to have them answered on future shows, and maybe for you to just decide what our next show is going to be. Now, I have some special guests that are going to be with me today. These are people who have worked in my office. They are what we call the jewels on the hill, interns in the office of Stacey Plaskett. Just so everyone is aware, the House of Representatives offer many internship opportunities in Washington, D.C., and to our district offices. Those are our offices in the places that we represent around the United States. Opportunities are generally available in the spring, summer, and fall. Summer positions are the most popular and probably the most competitive. Applying for an internship or fellowship is similar to applying for admission to college or university or for your summer job. The application process takes time and effort, often requiring essays and interviews, multiple interviews. The House is actually not a single employing entity. You don't just apply to one place, but rather they consist of several hundred individual employing offices. These offices include the over 400 members of Congress, committees that are in Congress, House officers, and the Inspector General. And they carry out responsibilities ranging from representational duties on behalf of the congressional district, legislative activities, oversight of federal agencies, administration and the operations and process and functions of the House, communications, digital, it goes on. Currently, the total workforce is approximately 10,000 employees. While over half of the employees work in Washington, D.C., there are House employees working for members of Congress in every state, from Alaska to Florida, from Vermont to Guam, and of course, Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Because the details of individual internships vary, it's best to contact the office in which the internship is available for information. Many representatives post internship information on their website, so you can find out a committee that a young person may be interested in, a career that they're interested in pursuing, or an area of the country that you may have ties to, or your own home members district to see about working with them in Washington or back at home. Now to my special guest. This is always really fun for me when I have interns that are on the Washington Report. And I decided to mix it up this time. I don't just have current interns, I actually have a former intern who's probably going to give the 411 on what it's like. I have a Congressional Black Caucus intern, Kelsey Wong. Kelsey is a proud native of Raleigh, North Carolina. She's received her Bachelor of Arts in Media Studies with a minor in Spanish from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro in 2020. Kelsey has a background in cinematography, video, film production, and editing. Kelsey dreams of traveling the world, filming other cultures while portraying and documenting the voices of others through the eyes of a lens. Kelsey is serving as a virtual communications intern and is thrilled to be working in our office this fall, and we're really thrilled to have her. From St. Thomas, Shahina Prasad is a recent graduate of Roanoke College with a communications degree. Her future goals are to be an influencer and businesswoman that promotes positive societal changes in the community and fights against the discriminatory issues minority groups face. Shahina hopes to persuade her community, especially the younger generation, to use their talents, differences, and passions to influence positive personal and societal change. As an intern, she uses her creative eye to help Virgin Islanders from my St. Croix office. Michael Pauls is a former intern of mine. Michael Pauls Jr. is currently a confidential assistant serving in the offices of Legislative Affairs and Communications at the Office of Management and Budget. He is with the Biden-Harris administration in that role. And prior to working in the administration, Michael served as field organizer on the Georgia Senate runoff and North Carolina coordinated campaign during the 2020 presidential election cycle. Michael started his career on Capitol Hill as a communications fellow in my office before joining the office of Congressman Donald Norcross of New Jersey as a staff assistant and then being promoted to legislative correspondent. He received his BA in government and politics from the University of Maryland, College Park, and I see that he, if I don't say it, he's going to say it, is a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. It's good to have you guys all together with us, some of you virtually, and Michael, you're here right here with me. So I wanted to know, Kelsey, you have a special place as a Congressional Black Caucus intern. Can you tell us how you received that internship?
Yes, I can. Thank you again for having me, Congresswoman. I am very excited to be here today with you and the other interns and to meet a former intern of yours as well. Yes, I did come across this internship through the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and that's just it. That's how I came through it. My sister was a past intern through the CBCF as well, and I figured, hey, I'll give it a try.
It's interesting with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. They have both internships, fellowships. Excuse me. Prior to COVID, they actually even had interns that lived here on right off campus, and they had activities for them in the evenings, classes, etc., that they were a part of. So you filled out an application, and what happened after that, Kelsey?
Well, let's see, COVID happened and everything was up in the air, right? Everything was just thrown in a loop, and the CBCF had to scramble and figure out the best way they could, how to still offer the best experience. So I actually applied the end of December 2020, got accepted, but then turned around, we had to do it virtually. And at that time, we weren't able to be placed. So now I'm back here and I've been placed with you. But with the application process, we had to fill out about 2 essays, maybe a couple short stories, and we just sat and we were sitting ducks by that time. So it was nerve-wracking because it's extremely competitive.
Right. Shahina, can you talk to us about why you decided to intern in a congressional office? I mean, you want to be a businesswoman, you want to be an influencer. How does that fit into working in a congressional office?
Well, I actually started off because I heard about the opportunity from my cousin, who was also an intern at the office in St. Croix. So I was like, why not give it a shot? I mean, one of my goals is to be a positive influence for the younger generation, and a big influence of mine is actually you, Congresswoman. So
Oh,
That's
Shahina, you trying to get brownie points. It's working. It's working, girl.
definitely one of the reasons why I decided to join.
Great. Thank you. Now, Shahina, it's different for you and Kelsey and then Michael. You guys have had completely different experiences because Shahina, you're there in the district, in the office with everyone. Kelsey, you're working virtually. And then Michael, when you worked for me, you were here in the DC office. So, Michael, can you tell us what a typical day looked like in your internship?
Absolutely. Thanks, Congressman, for having me. I tell people all the time, like, you're my favorite member of Congress, my first internship.
Y'all are good. Y'all are good.
But a typical day in the office usually started, if we were in session, making sure to get there by 8:30 a.m., and then making sure to set out the newspapers. You love the Wall Street Journal, so making sure you got that. Sorting mail, getting a run-through for what was going to happen for the day. Then we would do a staff meeting. Usually get a couple of due-outs, an assignment or two to work on, and if I didn't receive anything to work on, there are always like congressional hearings I could go and sit on. Maybe I could write a floor speech or do a memo. So there was just so much to do. As far as like an internship, it was great because it allowed you to really figure out what you wanted to do. So like, let's say you come in not knowing if you want to do comms or ledge, you're able to really do both, or even operations.
Cool. Excellent. What about you, Kelsey? What's your day usually like working virtually?
Well, since this is my second week with the comms team, again, I am a communications intern. I love it already. I've been tasked with a lot of things that I haven't been able to get have hands-on experience with until this internship. I've started working on op-eds, press releases, remarks, and social media graphics, and all of that content. That's what my day normally looks like. It's very, it can be hectic. It may start off smooth, it's just a roller coaster of different things.
And Shahina, what's it like working in the district office with the other people that are there? You're in our Frederiksted office on St. Croix.
My experience is very hands-on. I am always answering phones. But I think the most important thing about me working in the office is that I get to build a stronger relationship with the local people. Whenever they call in, they have an issue, I can always talk to them and say, hey, what is it that you have a problem with? How can I help you? And that's what a lot of my day consists of, as well as, since I'm part of the communications team, I work on press releases as well as social media graphics. The same thing as Kelsey.
Excellent. What do you think, Shahina, is been the most important quality that served you the most as an intern in the office?
Well, I think the most important quality that served me the most as an intern in the office is definitely the connection that I get to build with the local people, like I said before. I feel like my communication betters with each person that I help out because I'm always given more resources so that I can help other people. So I feel like that's the most important because it definitely aligns with my goals of wanting to create a better future and figuring out what exactly is the issue in our community.
And Kelsey, as a communications person, I always think it's really interesting because the communications team really get to see across so many different issues. Michael, you worked in communications. Shahina, you're helping out as well. You see the local issues that we're dealing with. You understand the constituents, the things that the people are calling about and how we're going to address that. But then you also get to see what's happening here in Washington, D.C., what's the legislation we find important, what's happening on the Hill, etc. What has been the most, for you, Kelsey, the most like, the thing that you didn't think that you were surprised by the most?
I'm sorry, Congresswoman, I couldn't hear you that last bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said, what do you think has been the thing that surprised you the most of what you've seen working here in Washington? You can be honest.
Well, again, it's only my second week, so I'm waiting to see really what's going to happen. I guess now that you guys are back in session, it's probably going to get a little bit more crazy, but I guess I wasn't expecting really for it to be as crazy as people made it out to seem. You know, anything can pop off, and all of these fires can, or, you know, little fires everywhere can happen. And I wasn't expecting it. May just, you know, for instance, you may just have a billion emails coming through from different directions, and that's the most surprising thing to me right now. I'm probably wrong.
You know, it's Michael, you should let Kelsey know that she's lucky that she's virtual, because the newest person has to babysit me on late nights as well. And last night I was here waiting to debate an amendment until 10:30. So that would have been your job, to be there at 10:30 with me, and then definitely to be back in at 8 o'clock and make sure by 8:30 my Wall Street Journal was sitting on my desk, right, Paul? How would you say, Mr. Pauls, the internship has prepared you to work in the administration now?
Absolutely. I would say, first and foremost, it prepared me by showing me what it was like to work in a fast-paced environment. The Hill is like very fast-moving. Things are constantly changing. It doesn't matter how far in advance you plan it, and you can have everything planned to the T. 10 minutes prior to the event or your amendment come to the floor, something can change. So that's probably the way it prepared me the most to work in the administration.
Excellent, excellent. Kelsey, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but what skills do you want to gain from this experience?
I think the skills I would love to gain from this is, again, polishing and perfecting my writing skills, but also networking, learning how it's imperative in this moment while we are virtual and working working remotely with people, and learning or building upon my professional development is key.
And Shahina, what are you looking, like concrete things that you think you would like to be better at by the time that you leave here?
Definitely my networking and communication skills as well. You know, before I was a little more, despite my major being communications, I was a little more on the timid side. I didn't really know how to like approach people, how to network, how to do all of that. But, you know, being surrounded by influential people constantly when I'm in the congressional office, people always calling in, and I'm learning about what newer people do. So I feel like that's the most important, and that's what's going to help me in the future. Being able to network, being able to learn from people that are more bigger than I am, so that I can have resources to do that as well.
Shahina, what's the difference between when you guys are operating in the district office, when I'm there and when I'm not there? Does it change the direction and what's happening change when I'm there as opposed to when, you know, you guys are operating on autopilot?
There is a slight difference. I wouldn't say it's much of a difference, because either way, you know, days can be hectic, or some days can be more laid back than others. It just depends on how many people call in, how much work there is to do. So I would say the slight difference between the two of them is kind of, you know, when you're there, Congresswoman, anything that you might need assistance with, I am 100% willing to help you, as well as the other people in the office. So we will have a little bit more on our plate. But when you're not there, then it's more of like we have to focus on what it is that we need to do to help our community. So that would be the difference.
Thank you. Michael, what would you say, you know, there are times when members, we call it being in session, right? That's when there's a legislative and active legislative calendar, people are voting, there are committee hearings. What's the difference in a congressional office, and what's the difference an intern can get out of when members are there as opposed to what they get when members aren't there? Because I think there's value as well when the member's not there, right?
Absolutely. Although we were never happy when you weren't there.
Oh,
but
so,
I'd say that
you really are laying it on thick.
I'd say the main difference is that like there's legislative business going on. So like a lot of the work you're doing is more, I guess, somewhat proactive, but more so reactive, in the sense that like you're reacting to a bill that's coming to the floor, you're reacting to what your committee is going to be doing legislatively. But when we're in when it's a district work week and you're in the VI, we're more so like preparing for the next period where the House is in session. So I would say that's the key difference.
Okay. What advice, Michael, so because you have gone, and I've had several people in my office who were interns, then they went off to school, or they were interns while they were in school, came back. Some of them came and worked in the office as a permanent person after graduating. Then they've gone on to other offices. There are former interns who are working in other congressional offices, working in other parts of the administration. What advice and what quality do you think what's the personality type of someone who is an intern and then ends up working full-time on Capitol Hill?
So I would say it's a mixture of one, being good at what you do. So whenever you're given a task, always go above and beyond. The type of person who always says yes to anything. You might be a legislative intern, but if the comms director needs help, then you should be willing to say, hey, yeah, I'll take a first crack at a press release, or yeah, I can help write this 1 minute. And then I also say, like, networking is really important. Because
you were also an officer in a particular organization here, right?
Yes, the Congressional Black Associates, which is the staff version, you could say, of the Congressional Black Caucus. It's a place where black staffers or interns alike can come together, and we network, we fellowship, but we also did community development, but also professional developments.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And Kelsey, what are your goals after you complete your internship? What's next after this? We have you until February. When do we have you until?
No, you have me until the end of the year. But if you would like to keep me, we can talk.
All right now.
Next goal, Congresswoman, I think I need to come and make a visit to DC and work
so.
in the office.
I think so.
I would really love that. I think I need to be in person.
You hear that, Mike? Mike McQuarrie, comms director. Somebody's making a plug. Let's hear it, Kelsey.
That since day one. But yes, my goals for after this internship program, I'm fresh out of college. I'm looking for a job if I can be completely transparent. Like I said, I'm here to just network, and afterwards, we'll see. I'm a person that relies on faith, and I'm just leaving it in God's hands right now, wherever the wind takes me. But I would love, I think, to experience a little bit more of the political capacity or political realm.
Okay. And Shahina, what comes next after the internship for you?
Well, actually, right now I'm loving the internship, so I might just stay and work for a little bit longer. But after working, I might just open my own business, which is one of my goals. So.
What kind of business are we opening so we know what we have to support?
Business, actually.
A what kind?
A clothing business.
Ooh. Yes. All right. Okay. And Michael, you are now with, I can recall when you first started working with the administration, and you came by and you've been, you're so great. We try and make sure that everybody comes by, checks in with us. I know you'll be coming to check us for the food, Michael. You're not slick. You're not slick. Because we always have food in the office. But you came by and just share the experience you had with where you are working. You're in the old executive office building where the vice president's office is as well. What's that like? Someone who just took a chance and stepped out there and decided to work on the Hill.
I would say it's incredible. There are definitely moments walking down the halls or walking down the Navy steps that overlook the West Wing where it's like, wow, I'm really here. Never thought I would be here. You mentioned the vice president's office being on my floor, like seeing her in the hallway, seeing the second gentleman. Prime Minister Boris Johnson was there yesterday. And it's just like, I really work here, and like I never planned on this. I kind of just loosely went on this like public service path, starting in your office, then going on to another office on the Hill, then joining the campaign and not really knowing where it would take me. So I would say, like similarly, like moving by faith and just letting God do what he does.
Well, God has been so good to you guys, all of you. But one of the things I really note is that God has really graced each of you with tremendous energy and willingness to learn, and what you said, stepping out in faith and taking risk, right? When you left your position, it was a good position with Donald Norcross to just go and work on a campaign. You never know what's going to happen, but that risk taking pays off. And, you know, Kelsey filling out that application, or Shahina coming, you're from St. Thomas. You came to St. Croix, you don't really know St. Croix, but you're like, yeah, I'll take this. The job is open here on St. Croix, so I'm going to do it. And that has just been, you know, we've been all blessed by having you. The energy of my interns is just astounding, and I love to see what you guys are always doing. So finally this year, we continue the tradition of ending the Washington Report with some words from Stacy. This week, the House passed a continuing resolution to fund the government through December and avoid a government shutdown, which would be catastrophic for families and the economy as we recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm pleased to announce that this bill includes a provision to cancel the outstanding balance of community disaster loans, CDLs, issued by FEMA to the Virgin Islands after our hurricanes. This will save the Virgin Islands more than $300 million in much-needed revenue. It will also remove restrictions imposed on the territory's ability to obtain financing to mitigate massive revenue losses caused by the pandemic and preceding severe hurricane disasters. We are in a good place through these CDLs having been canceled, and we're grateful to the administration and the support of the House for insisting that these be added. So once again, if you have questions, ideas that you'd like us to handle, to talk with, please email us at askstacy@plaskett.mail.house.gov. We're so grateful for the opportunity to talk with these interns and look forward to seeing you all again. Take care.